You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. The Mean One just released straight to VHS. You can pick it up at your local Blockbuster. Yeah, if you saw this movie, you'd be thinking the same thing. This movie is currently in theaters, so I won't spoil anything for the first few minutes, then I'll be sipping sweet, sweet eggnog while I take a deep, massive dump on this film. So, let's get spooky. Okay, so this is an evil Grinch movie. Now that the non-spoilers are out of the way, let's get into the spoilers. You lied to me! You lied to me! I'm kidding. But seriously, that is what this movie is. They take a gimmicky concept and then turn it into a feature-length film. If your expectations are high for something like this...
Do you drive to work, or does somebody drop you off? You know what I mean?
Here is what you are walking into this film. Our main character, Cindy, experiences some childhood trauma thanks to the Grinch. Yeah, I know they never say Grinch in this film, just look at this asshole. He's a Grinch. Anyways, after her intro sob story, she moves away. The story takes place with her coming back with her dad after 20 years in an attempt to deal with her traumatic past. But even though it's Christmas time, no one in the town celebrates it, not even a little. Why is that, you might ask? It's pretty obvious. The mayor and sheriff aren't too happy about Cindy digging up the past trauma. Why is that, you might ask? It's pretty obvious. I can and will shit all over this movie, but I know what you all want to know. Is it fun? Is it a so bad it's good movie? You are all saying we all saw the trailer, we all know the premise. Is it worth our money?
No!
Okay, so hear me out. There are movies that are so bad it's good.
How much is it?
It'll be $18.
Here you go. Keep the change. Hi, doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Thanks a lot.
There are also movies that have a dumb premise, embrace it, and are good for a one-time watch at a house party.
Oh, what a piece of ass!
And then there are movies that have a dumb premise, know it, but don't embrace it enough. You know that common expression that everyone says all the time?
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
That does not apply to these kinds of movies. It's the exact opposite. Everything has to be over the top. Everything has to be ridiculous. Everything has to be, well...
full retard.
But here's the problem. That's not possible unless you have good writing. But these low-budget red box dumb premise movies think that violence with a gimmicky killer is enough. It's not. Here's a great example of a Hollywood-level movie with A-list actors, great writing, and a simple premise taken way too far.
Chili. He dives at me in a pussy-like fashion. Poor planning, poor execution. Piece of cake.
Now, here's another example, probably the best example of an over-the-top, violent Christmas movie with a ridiculous premise. Santa's Sleigh is probably the best example in comparison for a Christmas Santa horror movie, but if you need something for a younger audience, I'm a big fan of Krampus. Okay, back to the Mean One. Is this movie a flaming bag of shit? It's not quite at that level of bad. There were about 2 to 3 moments that genuinely made me laugh, and unfortunately, that's it. The violence is not good and not fun to watch. What do I mean by that? It's not good because half of the blood is CGI. Isn't fake blood really cheap? Like, how low was the budget here? Did the staff have to go halvesies on their meals at 7-Eleven? The violence isn't fun because the choreography is shit, and for the most part, it's not Christmassy. Most people just get torn apart. So, to sum up, the acting in the story is bad, but that's to be expected. The comedy is in the lower levels, and the violence is lower than that. Don't see it in theaters, it's just not worth it. Want a recommendation for the holidays? Watch Santa's Sleigh, Krampus, Gremlins, Black Christmas. Those are the only ones that I can think of that would be worth your time. Now on to the spoilers. So the movie starts off with Cindy's childhood, and she sees the Grinch at her house. Mom walks in and starts beating the shit out of him. I know we aren't supposed to judge a book by its cover, but look at this thing. If you saw this thing in your house at night, and you didn't immediately want to set it on fire, you were either a baby, incapable of rational thought, or you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So the mom gets knocked over and her neck goes through a nail and she dies. Yeah, it was an accident, but it's followed up by Cindy calling the Grinch a monster, and the acting abilities of this kid is atrocious. And that's the intro with some classic Christmas voiceover.
That's not a good start, but keep going.
Actually, you could argue that that's a great intro because it sets the stage for the quality of the movie that you're about to see. So 20 years later, Cindy and her dad come back into town to help her face her childhood trauma. They get pulled over by the local deputy because they had some Christmas decorations on their car that weren't up to code. We learn that the deputy is a self-aware dork who is Jewish and he has an instant crush on Cindy. He is probably the most developed character in this story based on those 4 facts, so think of that what you will. That night, Cindy's father is putting up the decorations while she's away, and her dad gets killed by the Grinch, and we barely even see it.
Whippy!
The main takeaway is that her mom was accidentally killed, but the dad was aggressively killed, so shit has been progressing in the last 20 years. While Cindy is cleaning up her dad's blood, she finds a perfectly preserved flower that she thinks fell off the Grinch's clothes. Alright, sure. So she looks up where they grow and go investigate. Meanwhile, we meet the sheriff and the mayor. The mayor is an over-the-top bitch that is running for re-election, and that's where her character traits end. So far, the sheriff is okay, but their acting abilities are as good as you would expect.
I can't believe you committed suicide. I cannot believe you committed suicide.
Back at the mountain, Cindy falls into a cave and finds a left-behind wallet. When she climbs out, she sees a hiking couple getting attacked by the Grinch. She goes to help and is able to save one of them. The police arrive and she tells the sheriff that it was the green monster, and the sheriff lays into her that her bringing up this shit is what killed Christmas 20 years ago.
What? Oh, come on!
First of all, that was the testimony of a fucking child. Secondly, her mom legit died in front of her. Just because she said a green man in Santa Claus killed her mom doesn't discredit the fact that her mom died. Anyways, we cut to a scene with a bus filled with drunk Santas and hot Mrs. Clauses. Oh, this is the moment audiences are waiting for. A giant massacre with the Grinch just going to town on a room filled with people. The bus stops at a local diner, and a minute goes by before the magic happens. And by magic, I mean that moment when you order a box of severed hands off of the dark web and the FBI storms your in-laws' house because only an idiot would have had it delivered to their home address.
Disappointed!
Yeah, so there's like 10 people in this diner. Half of them get killed while the camera is focused on the Grinch and CGI blood flies into the air. One guy gets killed by a giant candy cane, which is one of the only Christmas-themed kills in this movie, and the rest of them get killed by or with things you'd see at a diner.
Disappointed!
I will go further into this movie than that, only out of obligation, because that scene should have been either the most fun or the second most fun scene in the whole film, but it was such a letdown that I barely even want to continue with this review. If you see this in theaters, pull out your phones, because this shit really isn't getting much better. So word gets out about the deaths, which normally would be like a fucking nationwide event, but when Cindy confronts the sheriff about it, he says the hiker deaths are a federal problem, the diner deaths are a state problem, and he is only here to protect the town, which I assume covers like 2 blocks. So the deputy looks up the info on the wallet that Cindy found, and the person it belonged to has been missing for 20 years. So he goes out to find the same cave Cindy found the wallet. He either finds that or a different one that has dozens of wallets. He gathers them up. He gets a surprise visit from the Grinch, who is dragging in his next meal. The deputy is able to make it out of there alive because the town drunk, who actually looks like a Santa, helps him out. Okay, this moment is why good writing is important regardless of budget. So check this. Deputy is in the cave. The Grinch comes in to eat but doesn't notice him. Santa guy comes in with a car with like 20 guns in it because he has a vendetta with the Grinch. Go figure. Santa guy distracts the Grinch and the deputy is able to get out of the cave. Deputy notices the guns, Santa guy brushes it off, and they both leave.
What? Oh, come on!
So he came up there with a shit ton of guns just to turn back around when the deputy comes out of a cave that he now knows is where the Grinch is? This is shit. The audio is pretty bad at times as well. So Cindy preps for her final showdown with the Grinch, and she goes from a girl who doesn't know how to fight or shoot to a UFC fighting marksman with a house full of traps in like a single day. Meanwhile, the deputy is looking up the info on the wallets and sees all of these photos of hikers on the same mountain near town. But in all of the photos, they photoshopped the Grinch into them and they look ridiculous. It is so funny how bad it is. It's actually one of the funniest moments in this whole movie. And it's a damn shame that there wasn't more of this throughout the movie. But the deputy connects all of the photos to one website that's run by the mayor. The deputy goes to see Cindy and sees all of her prep work and begins to chastise her and says, "Don't become him."
Are you retarded? Poop in the shoes. Are you a retarded person?
Poop on the shoes!
This thing has killed and eaten dozens of people. At what point does it become okay to lay traps and kill a literal monster? The mayor tries to get the hell out of Dodge, but her car breaks down and a Christmas song comes on the radio. But for some reason, she can't change the station or, I don't know, kill the volume? But the Grinch instantly pops up and kills her. This thing must be able to teleport because that's the only explanation of how fast this thing pops up wherever anything Christmas related happens. So the deputy confronts the sheriff and the sheriff admits that he lured tourists to the mountain to keep him out of the town because it's a man-eater. Deputy goes after the Grinch, gets pwned by a bear trap, and then gets saved by the sheriff. I don't know if the sheriff dies or not, I can't really remember, and I honestly don't really even care. The deputy is in the hospital, and Cindy is ready for the fight of her life. It's rumble time. Time for some awesome fight choreography, blood, explosions, which of course don't happen. The fighting is lame. Santa Guy does do some sniper support, which I guess is smart. Cindy uses a candy cane, pistol, and shotgun, which I guess is dumb. 'Tis the season. Cindy gets the upper hand on the Grinch and notices the necklace around his neck that she gave to him before the accident with her mom. She goes, "Why, Santa?" Oh, he is actually Santa, which I don't fucking get for two reasons. One, look at this thing.
Because if I woke up looking like that, I would just run towards the nearest living thing and kill it.
And two, if your story makes out Santa to be real, how the hell could parents not believe that he is real? Is every parent so nonchalant Christmas morning that when they see their kids opening presents that they didn't buy, they just shrug it off every year? Also, for this film, wouldn't the Grinch or Santa be killing everyone using Christmas things on a global scale? He already can teleport. We pretty much established that he can teleport. And get this. The whole reason why he's been a psycho man-eater for the past 20 years is because after he accidentally killed Cindy's mom, Cindy called him a monster. And that's it.
No good. Wow.
That was rough.
I can't even with this movie. We're almost done here. So Cindy decides to forgive the Grinch even though she should still kill him. His heart grows 3 sizes that cold winter's night and he literally blows up. That's how the story ends. His heart grows so big, so fast that his heart explodes like a fucking bomb. Then we get a montage of social media reactions on whether or not people believe the green monster is real. If you haven't seen the movie and for some reason want to, there is a post-credit scene that is a little funny. So that is pretty much the entire The Mean One movie. There is not much else to say that I haven't said already. It's a shit film. It has 1 or 2 moments that made me laugh and that's it. That's not enough. This movie is not worth your money or your time. Watch something else for the holidays. Like I said earlier, Krampus, Santa's Sleigh, Gremlins, the original Black Christmas, if you wanted some suggestions. But anyways, thanks for watching and stay spooky.